I have always loved reading romance novels, not casually, but obsessively. While other students spent their free time watching movies or hanging out with friends, I buried myself in books. In a single year, I could easily read over 200 romance novels. People warned me constantly that I spent too much time living in fictional worlds, but I never listened. To me, they were harmless. I was wrong. It happened during my second year at Ekiti State University. Wanting more privacy, I moved out of the school hostel and rented a room in a student lodge deep inside Phase 2, an area that sat on the edge of town. The compound contained 4 rooms, occupied by 4 female students. At first, everything seemed normal. Then people started leaving. The first girl moved out without much explanation. A few weeks later, the second girl left as well, claiming she wanted to stay closer to campus. The third girl, Moji, was different. One afternoon, I noticed her carrying a bag filled with clothes. Are you moving out too? I asked. She laughed. No, I'm just spending some time with friends near school. That was the last time I saw her. 2 days later, around 7:30 p.m., someone knocked on the compound gate. When I opened it, I found a young man standing outside. He wore a dark hoodie, dark glasses, and blue jeans. The evening sun had already faded, making it difficult to see his face. I'm looking for Moji, he said. His voice sounded strangely pleasant, as though he was smiling. I explained that she wasn't around. He nodded. No problem. Then he handed me a novel. Give this to her when she returns. Without thinking, I accepted it. The moment I looked up again, he was already walking away. I didn't want responsibility for someone else's book, so I placed it inside a cupboard outside Moji's room and went to bed. That night, around 10 p.m., I heard footsteps. My eyes snapped open. The gates were locked. I had locked it myself, yet someone was walking through the compound, slowly, deliberately. The footstep passed my door, then stopped outside Moji's room. The cupboard door creaked open. Moments later came the sounds of objects being thrown around, things crashing, things falling, then silence. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. The next morning, I stepped outside and nearly dropped my bag. Everything inside the cupboard had been scattered across the floor. Everything except the novel. The book sat perfectly untouched. I told myself it had to be thieves. Nothing else made sense. 2 days later, my friend Deborah agreed to spend the night with me. Around 10 p.m., we heard the footsteps again. This time, there were two. Both walked directly toward the cupboard. Moments later came the sound. Objects being thrown, things being searched, then silence. Deborah heard everything. For the first time, I knew I wasn't imagining things. The following night, our friend Charles joined us. We expected answers. Instead, things became worse. At exactly 10 p.m., we heard 4 sets of footsteps. Not two, 4. Along with them came another sound. Something heavy, dragging across the ground. Then came 3 deafening bangs. The cupboard shook violently. It sounded as though someone was striking it with a sledgehammer. Neither Charles nor Deborah looked brave anymore. When morning came, we made a decision. We are leaving. Deborah's family owned a large house closer to school, so we packed a few belongings and moved there temporarily. For 3 days, nothing happened. Then on the fourth night, at exactly 10 p.m., the footsteps returned. The sound came from downstairs. 3 heavy bangs echoed through the house. The entire building vibrated. Charles carefully looked through the bedroom door before slamming it shut. His face had turned pale. What did you see? Deborah asked. For several seconds he couldn't speak. Finally he answered, someone is downstairs. Who? I don't know, he said. The fear in his eyes made my blood run cold. Then the footstep began climbing the stairs, slowly, heavy, deliberate. With every step, the darkness inside the house deepened. Not ordinary darkness, but these felt alive. The shadows stretched unnaturally across the walls. The air became thick, heavy, almost impossible to breathe. Then I heard a whisper, a broken voice, as though someone were speaking through a mouth full of water. I froze. The voice seemed inches from my ear. I looked at Deborah and Charles. Neither reacted. Neither had heard it. The footstep continued. Whatever was approaching wasn't walking properly. It was dragging something or dragging itself. Then the voice returned, closer this time. Who picked me? At the moment I looked down. The novel. Somehow it was beside me. I had no memory of bringing it upstairs. Yet there it was. My heart nearly stopped. The title suddenly came back to me. Who picked me? The footsteps stopped directly outside our door. Silence followed, a horrible silence. Then something slid beneath the gap under the door. I looked down. A thick black liquid slowly spread across the floor. The smell arrived a second later. Rotten flesh, old blood. Deborah covered her mouth. Charles began praying. The whisper returned. So you picked me. Every hair on my body stood upright. Then came three violent bangs. The door shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Another bang, the hinges groaned. Another, a crack appeared on the wood, and through the crack I saw it. For only a second, a face, or what used to be a face. The skin hung in strips, its mouth stretched impossibly wide. Its eyes were missing, only black empty sockets remained. Yet somehow, I knew it was staring directly at me. Then it smiled. The novel beside me suddenly opened by itself. Its pages flicked violently, faster and faster, until they stopped. A blank page faced me. Three words appeared in the center. I see you. Outside, the creature released a shriek so horrifying that it sounded human and inhuman at the same time. The banking became frantic. The door bent inward. I didn't think. I simply grabbed the book and shoved it beneath the door. For 1 second, everything stopped. No footstep, no breathing, no movement. Then came a wet dragging sound, as though something was being pulled away. The footsteps retreated, down the hallway, down the stairs, out of the house, and then silence. At the exact moment, electricity returned. The lights came on. Everything looked normal, except for the black liquid on the floor. Charles reached out and touched it. It smeared across his fingers like blood. Then it evaporated before our eyes, leaving nothing behind. The book was gone too. The next morning there was no damage, no broken doors, no scratches, no evidence. Only a lingering smell of decay that seemed trapped inside the walls. Nobody believed our story, not Deborah's father, not the school security, not anyone. After a month passed without incident, we eventually returned to our normal lives, or at least we tried. Moji finally returned to the lodge. When I told her about the strange man and the novel, she laughed. I hate reading books, she said. I wasn't expecting anything from anyone. That answer disturbed me more than anything else. If the book wasn't for Moji, then why had it been brought there? Months passed. I convinced myself everything was over. Then one evening, while taking a bath, I heard footsteps enter my room. Slowly, heavy, deliberate. My blood froze. 3 knocks landed on my bedroom door. Then a whisper came from the other side. I see you. I couldn't move. I remained trapped in the bedroom for nearly 2 hours. When I finally gathered enough courage to open the door, nobody was there. That night, I found a piece of paper on my bed. Written across it were the words, "There was once a girl who opened a book she was never meant to open." Beneath it were 3 familiar words. I see you. I grabbed the note and planned to show my friends, but by morning, it had vanished. The notes continued appearing, always at night, always carrying the same warning, always disappearing before anyone else could see them. The last note arrived 1 week ago. Unlike the others, it contained one additional sentence, written in shaking letters that looked disturbingly like dried blood. It read, "I see you," and underneath, "I am still looking." I have not slept properly since, because every night at exactly 10 p.m., I hear something outside my room. Slow footsteps, a dragging sound, and sometimes when the house is quiet enough, I hear a broken voice whispering from the darkness, "Who picked me?"